Hi, I'm Karnik. Welcome to Star Wars Armada Explained, where I look over cards for Star Wars Armada, explain how they work. Today we're going to look at Agent Kallus. He is a unique card. If you look there at the bullet point in front of his name, signifies he's unique, meaning you can only bring one of him in your fleet. He equips the officer slot, which if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the card, you'll see the officer upgrade icon there. He is faction specific to Empire only. If you look at the opposite corner there, you'll see the Empire symbol next to the point cost, which is 3. His card reads, while attacking a unique squadron, add 1 die of any color to your attack pool. He has no erratas or any clarifications. This is a card that it can be very useful, just because a lot of people tend to bring a lot of unique squadrons, and sometimes having the extra die shooting at them it can be beneficial. But there definitely is a little bit of misconception about how he works. So again, I just want to make sure I'm clearing that up and explaining how he works. So for the interaction. So he only works when you're conducting anti-squadron based attacks. In this example, I'm going to use an ISD-1 version, which the ISD-1 version throws a blue and a black die for anti-squadron attacks. So how it would work is first thing you need to do is check to see who is in range. In this example, I've got Merrick Steel and Black Squadron. Now remember, Agent Kallus only works on unique squadrons. So generic versions of squadrons like regular TIE fighters, TIE defenders, etc., those are generics. But anything with a unique title, like Merrick Steel, who he has defense tokens, or even unique titled squadrons like Black Squadron, even though Black Squadron doesn't get any defense tokens, it is still considered a unique squadron because it has some sort of slightly different ability than a standard model. So Kallus would work on targets like that. Again, does not work on generics. So let's go ahead and make our attack. The first thing you do is make sure you check the range and line of sight to the target. And here, of course, we need to make sure that we are in the attack range of which die we can use. For the Star Destroyer 1, remember it throws a blue and a black die. So if they, for example, if these two squadrons were only in medium range, you could only throw the 1 blue die at medium range. But if they're within close range, which is this black circle here, then you can use a blue and a black die. Remember, in order to gauge range, you're measuring from the cardboard on your ship to the closest point of the squadron, and then you trace line of sight to ensure that you're not overlapping any obstacles or other sources of obstruction. In this situation, we have in range to throw our blue and black die. There is no obstruction to block any of our shots. So let's go ahead. We're going to target Merrick Steel, and we throw our initial attack pool, which is the 1 blue die, 1 black die. Now Agent Kallus comes into effect. Now you can add his die. A lot of people think that when it says while attacking a unique squadron is you add the die to your initial pool, and that's not the case. This is an add effect after you roll your initial attack pool. In this situation, let's say let's go ahead and add another black die to that attack. So now we're dealing 2 damage to Merrick Steel. In that situation, of course, he'll brace. And now we're going to conduct that attack against Black Squadron. We roll the 1 blue die, the 1 black die in the initial attack pool, and then we add in the extra die from Agent Kallus. And look, 3 damage. We just murdered that poor little TIE fighter, Black Squadron, and he's dead. And, if you're firing against squadrons that have, like scatter, maybe you would want to add another blue die instead of a black die to try to lock down the scatter, try to see if you can get damage past the scatter. Or there's just a philosophy of just more firepower. You throw so much damage that they have to use the scatter. That way, if you have other sources or abilities you can use to attack them, they may be more reluctant to use the scatter, or they may spend the scatter and then they no longer have it. Multiple strategies there you could use. And the reason why I said about that initial attack pool, so for example, if Merrick Steel was sitting, on this debris field, Again, and he's not in close range, he's only in this blue band here, and you tried to attack him, well, you wouldn't be able to roll the one blue die, therefore you cannot roll your initial attack pool, and therefore you cannot add Agent Kallus to that attack. You have to be able to make the initial attack in order to then utilize Agent Kallus. Another thing that people like to use Agent Kallus with is ships that are able to take quad laser turrets, because again, it just specifies, during an attack. So with quad laser turrets, if you're able to counter a enemy ship, again, it has to, or an enemy squadron. If the enemy squadron is unique, you can roll that initial one blue die from the counter, and then you can add that one die from Agent Kallus, and totally works. That's a lot of people like to run this kind of sort of combination, and it's really good at murdering squadrons. Expect to see Agent Kallus and quad laser turrets a lot on the upcoming Superstar Destroyer expansion. There really isn't any other crazy interactions or anything else I really need to go over. It's kind of covered already by the quad laser turrets card I already have done. I'm not going to go so deep in because pretty much that's covered in that card's interaction already. Of course, if you feel like anything's wrong, anything's in error, please be sure to let me know. Leave a comment. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you on my next video.